vorbitor este Ionel Naftanaila, OBA Project Manager la IAB Europe. Și el ne va povesti despre importanța acțiunilor de autoreglementare, atât pentru industrie, cât și pentru dialogul cu autoritățile, în special cele de la Comisia și Parlamentul European.
Bună ziua! După cum spunea și Ioana, Ionel Naftanaila, o parte dintre cei prezenți mă cunoaște deja. Româna mai bună decât Româna. Cred că o să schimb totuși în engleză, din respect, ca să zic așa, pentru oaspeții noștri. Plus slide-urile sunt în engleză. Încă nu am hotărât în modul care mare cade pe scaun, dar cred că o să fac asta. A bit challenging to be on the stage after a look. But still, what I'm going to try to discuss with you today, just a bit, is to provide you with an overview of the self-regulation work Alain was mentioning a bit earlier. And this self-regulation work is like the first project of self-regulation which has been done and is being done at industry level to try to come up with better transparency. That's one keyword, and the other main keyword is control for the internet users. And I'm going to try to explain why, how this came to be in the first place, why it's needed, and what we need to do as an industry to make it happen. Some of you in this room actually have seen me a while back selling, so to say, this thing. You know, OBA is good. Of course it's good. It brings a lot of promises for a lot of players, and not only players, in the advertising chain. So, good for the publishers, right? You make more money with the same inventory because it's better targeting. So, advertisers then can better exploit, so to say, different segments, different niches. Therefore, advertisers would also benefit from it. They would be able to spend less money and get the same results, or even better, get more results with the same budgets, with the same money. So a big promise, right? We're also selling this promise to the web users. We're saying, well, we're delivering more targeted ads, which is likely to be more relevant to your interests, which is likely not to annoy you so much. It's better for you, right? Of course it's better. Or, and this is the big question, actually, which we're facing as an industry. We're selling the ad networks, the OBA data providers, a lot of data crunchers, so to say, are selling this promise. They're saying, we can target people. We can target them very, very narrowly. We can target them by location. We can target them by age. We can target them by gender. We can target them in a lot of ways. But how about the user? How about the user being afraid that some big brother is watching over them? How about the user saying, well, do I have anything to say? Do I have any option about it? If I'm using a mobile phone, I can turn off, although the mobile phone will be really crippled, the location services. I have the option. If I'm navigating online, do I really have the option of not allowing this to happen? Now, more technical savvy people in the room would say, well, not really. You can turn off cookies, but then not a lot of things will be functioning properly. And even if you do that, there are still techniques to actually, you know, sort of continue to gather some data. Not a lot of data, but some data. So then, what's my choice as a user? Now, if you look a bit, you know, from a perspective, a user and the consumer's concern would also be a regulator's concern. If it's potentially not good for the user, then we need to issue some laws, right? I mean, if it's bad, then somebody needs to look over it, and somebody needs to regulate it, and somebody needs to do something about it. And this is part of the fight we're actually seeing in Brussels. On the screen, we have Mrs. Reddy, who's saying, we need to provide users with the right to choose, we need to provide users with the famous right to be forgotten, and so on, which is a just approach. On the other hand, you do have income from this advertising thing, which we're all discussing about, which is supporting this industry. This industry exists This industry, and I say here publishers, I say here content providers, services providers. Big part of this industry actually exists because it's funded by ads, it's funded by revenue. And we all, as consumers, are more and more used to go online, not pay for stuff, benefit from it. We all know about, the famous paywalls. They don't seem to be working very well. So how about this thing? How about, looking at it from another perspective and saying, well, we cannot afford to actually cut a very important revenue stream for the development of the digital industry, which is revenue from advertising. So this is, in a way, the mission of Mrs. Cruz, who's the vice president responsible for digital agenda. So you see already that there's a little bit of a problem. How can you do something to empower the users more, to empower the consumers more, while not cutting the revenue streams of the industry? And here's what the DigiConnect, which is some sort of a Ministry of Telecommunications in Romania, will try to fix with the industry and with the involvement of the industry and driven by the industry in a way. Create a program of self-regulation which would allow consumers to be more empowered, to have an option, to have some choice about this data collection and use which is taking place on one hand, and on the other hand, without actually cutting the revenue streams of the industry. So why self-regulation? Why not a law in itself? Well, there are several things to discuss about this. We already have laws, and we already have seen some attempts to enforce some laws and to implement some laws. We all know that there are laws against spam, right? Do you still get spam? Of course you do. It's very, very difficult to be implemented. It's very, very difficult to be enforced. Because of a lot of reasons, and I don't want to get into that. But it's a fact, right? So we're seeing that. Also, the industry evolves very, very quickly. So the tools, the techniques, and so on are evolving, are moving. The industry as a whole is moving, as you've seen in the slides before my presentation. So we're moving ahead, we're growing. Our tools, our technologies are evolving. So you're writing a law now, and this law is going to become obsolete if it refers to this industry in the next 6 months probably, because it's evolving, because it's moving. So then you will be stuck as an industry with a law which is obsolete, and you still need to obey because it's the law. You cannot choose not to respect the law. It's the law. So then, how about creating something which is complementary to the law, allowing the law to create a framework, but also allowing the industry to sit on a table and to say, we as an industry are acting as responsible partners and creating this code of conduct. And we, as good players, responsible partners, for both politicians, for both consumers, are trying to create this code of conduct, respecting those rules, and we're willing to enforce those rules. And this is a system which has been used in the past with the SROs. The SROs are something which is translated, so to say, self-regulated. The name of it would be self-regulatory organizations. In Romania, it's SERAC. Some of you might know about it, which offers copy advice on ads, TV ads, print ads, and so on. So why not take a system such as this one and apply the system to digital advertising? And the big problem is in digital advertising, and the big question mark which actually raised the attention of the politicians, especially in Brussels, was this OBA thing. Data crunching, gathering a profile, using that profile to better target ads. So why not creating a self-regulatory framework, a self-regulatory code of conduct to address to behavioral advertising? So this is what the industry actually has been doing over the last few years. Now it's actually coming into place, and we're actually now at this point within the stage of implementing the initiative throughout Europe. So the initiative is supported by all those key associations, as Alan was saying, we like associations. So EDAA, which I'm going to discuss about in a few moments, is supported by all those associations, IAB Europe, World Federation of Advertisers, European Association of Communication Agencies, data marketers, online publishers associations, and so on, a lot of important industry associations in Brussels. So basically we see here on this slide the ecosystem. all the associations representing the ecosystem. So we're looking from publishers to advertisers. Everybody in the supply chain is supporting the OBA self-regulatory project. So what's this whole thing about? It addresses to everybody in the supply chain. So from publishers to ad networks to more evolved systems such as DSP, SSPs, ad exchanges, and so on. Agencies, advertisers. So everybody, there's a special category in the framework addressing to companies collecting all traffic data, so to say, so all URLs, where, well, across Europe, that includes European Union, but also Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Switzerland and Norway. And main obligations refer to third-party OBA. Why third-party OBA as opposed to first-party whatever? Because as a user, if I go to, I'm just picking a name, if I go to Amazon.com, I would expect somehow that Amazon would use my navigation history on Amazon.com to maybe recommend me a better product. Or to say, well, some other people have been looking at those products, and this is what some other people with similar interests as you have been buying in the end. So I would expect that to happen. But I would not expect, I'm just going to give you a little story. A while back, I'm traveling a lot around Europe lately, so a while back I was flying to Vienna. I go to this nice Austrian airline website. I look for a flight. I don't like the price. I don't buy the ticket itself, right? So I don't book the flight. Then I go to some other website. I book another, with another company. Then I use Google Reader 3 days later, and all my Google Reader news were filled with a nice red ad, which was pointing me to that specific nice Austrian company. So then, as a regular user, you would think, well, this is clearly related to my, actions a while back. As a most technical savvy user, it's retargeting, nothing rocket science, but still, as a regular user, I'm a bit afraid. And then you ask yourself, again, do I have any choice? Well, not really. So the question is, the users themselves, are they really prepared to, deal with this third-party data collection news, which is happening on different websites? Well, not so much, or at least this is where the concern seems to be with both the consumers and the politicians. So in practice, how is it going to look like? I mean, I had like a long presentation, I just got to the in practice part. So fundamentally, the OBA framework goes back to two main principles. As I was saying, transparency. So people are afraid of what they don't know. Fine, then let's explain them what's going on. Let's explain them how this thing actually works. And let's explain them that actually is not so scary. So the transparency thing, this is an old example from Yahoo actually. There's a link in the footer explaining people what's going on the web page. And explaining people, look, some data collection may take place on this web page. And here's the companies which take part in this data collection. So already you explain them, you let them know what's going on your website. Then this is the page where you actually do the explanation part. And then once you've done this explanation thing, you direct the users to a website, which is a pan-European platform, it was mentioned by Alan before, where they can actually express a choice. I don't like it, or I like it. Or I trust Yahoo, but I don't trust Ionel ad network. So then I can say, I'm okay with Yahoo collecting and using some data about myself, but I'm not okay with Ionel doing the same thing because I don't know him, I don't know who he is, and what he's doing with that data, and I don't trust that. So the industry as a whole is offering, actually, supporting this pan-European platform. It's translated in all European languages. It's also translated in Romanian, actually. The print screen is in Romanian. And another role of the platform is to further inform consumers of how online advertising is working. What are the usual practices? Why it's not so scary for you as a consumer. So that's the sites part. This is how publishers, website operators, so to say, can act about implementing this OBA self-regulation. Then the other thing is the little icon, which Alan has mentioned, but also myself being from Romania, I've seen a lot of times. Because you already seen rolling out. And in Romania, at least, is the little icon on top of ads with the wording, it's called opțiuni. You see that if you hover the mouse over the icon, you will see the text. If you click on it, you will be brought to an interstitial page where again some explanation is being made. This is an example from a more recent example actually from Microsoft, and it says, well, this has been placed by Microsoft. This is what we're doing with the data which we collect. This is how we use it. And if you want to stop this from happening, you can use either our preference management tool, or you can go to your online choices and express your choice. So then what we're accomplishing with the self-regulatory program is that we're saying, here's what's going on. Here's what you can do if you don't like it. And this would be, again, as Alan was saying, this would not be an alternative to the law. The law is still the law. But self-regulation is something which is complementary to the law. It's something which says, we as industry players, we as good guys, we're signing in for this code of conduct, and we're committing to respect a set of rules. Why? Because we think that the industry cannot be anymore in this, and I have somebody in the room who was using this a lot in presentations, in this wild, wild west phase, where nothing is regulated, everything is allowed, you can do whatever you want. It's clear that this cannot continue, will not continue, laws are going to be made, and then when you look at challenges for the industry, such as the data protection review, do not track, which is right across the corner, you would want, as industry, you would want to be in a good position. You would want to be seen as being a partner. You would want to be seen by consumers as being there to provide them with tools, with transparency, being proactive, being open, being transparent. Because otherwise what you get from people is, I'm concerned, I don't know what's going on with my data, I better switch this off, I don't like it. They don't know why. They just know that something can be wrong with it. So the only choice which we have as industry, again, is to provide them with the explanations. Otherwise, it won't work on the long run. So the way this is going to work from a B2B perspective is that this newly created body, EDA, through some providers, to some contractors, is going to provide a seal to companies who are really compliant with the program itself. So you're going to start seeing this seal soon, in a matter of months, on compliant websites and on websites of compliant app networks, OBA players in general. This is just newly developed. And again, as Alan was saying, EDA just newly incorporated in Brussels. EDA.eu exists. Companies can find information about how to join the program, concrete steps on how to join the program. There's somebody on the other end of the line, picking up phones, answering to emails and so on, and providing more information. So there's actually some meat on the bones. Here I have just very, very quickly like a timeline, something which I wanted to, I don't think this has a pointer, but something which I wanted to point out to you is that we have made some commitments to the European Union in terms of coverage of the program, which would be, we need to show the Commission actually, as industry, that we provide some 80% coverage of the program in top 10 markets, and we're very, very close to it. Top 5 markets, we're already exceeding the 80% coverage, and also 70% coverage in the other markets. So we've achieved that actually. Romania is doing really well. It's about 80%, I think, in terms of coverage. Suppliers who have players who have signed and have committed to the program. So what can you do? Well, I think that the most important thing is to try to learn about the self-regulatory initiative. You can do that in several ways. One way is to just go to eda.eu. That's the easiest thing to be done. Speak with IAB Romania, or speak with me personally. Happy to answer any questions and provide you with guidance and directions. thank you for now, and looking forward to any questions if you have any.